Hi, everyone. Hi. Hello, hello, hello. Glad to see all you people. I'm blessed to be here with you. So as I wrote down, there was something I was planning on saying, and then Spirit was telling me, nope, you're supposed to talk about something else. And I was waiting for it to percolate to my consciousness, and Course in Miracles say, what would you have me say? And that fast I got it. So, holidays comes from holy days. And I feel like there's so much hoopla around this particular holiday that it's lost its holiness. There's so much emphasis on buying the perfect gift for this long list of people and creating this great feast and wrapping all these presents and cleaning for company. And personally, no offense to the men, but I think this puts a lot of pressure on the women in particular because they do most of the shopping, the wrapping, and the cleaning, right? So I was just thinking, is it necessary? And is there any way we can simplify it and bring more peace to ourselves in this process? There's nothing wrong with celebrating in a big way because holidays are about celebration. And if it brings you joy to do all this, please do it. But if it's stressful, there are other choices. And we're adults, we can make other choices. So I want to talk about some of that. When I was in my 20s, I was part of a delegation. A friend of mine led a delegation to Nicaragua for Witness for Peace. And without going into the details about that, I can tell you more if you want to know. But it was my first time outside of the country, and it was my first time experiencing such a profound level of poverty. But I'm not sure if that's the right word, because I think poverty has a connotation of like depression and misery, and I didn't feel any of that. It felt more like uber simplicity. So I was paired up with a young woman named Olive, and there were about 11 of us, 9, 10, 11, and we were staying in the homes of very humble country people. And they opened their homes to us, these Norte Americanos that they didn't know, they opened their homes, and this home was 2 rooms with literal dirt floors and no panes or screens in the windows. And the kitchen was outside, and every day they had rice and beans with maybe some tortillas every day, twice a day. I don't even know if they had enough for 3 times a day. So materially they had very, very little, but their hearts were so big. They were so full of love, so full of warmth, so full of joy. It was remarkable to me that their lack of material possessions didn't impact their joy. And when I got home, I felt the contrast because we have so much here, and yet, generally speaking, I think we're kind of a miserable people, don't you, sometimes? I mean, we know joyful people, we know loving people, but, if you go on social media or, some people, they just grumble a lot, complain a lot, never satisfied. It's kind of pandemic in this country. Talk of not the disease, but this disease of dissatisfaction. It's like it's rampant. So all our wealth doesn't necessarily translate into happiness. So can we make other choices? Is it possible? I traveled and moved around a lot for 15 years, and I learned that it was a lot easier to move when you don't have a lot of possessions. It just freed me up so much. I mean, I won't deny that there was occasional worry, but it gave me permission to travel and to fly home to be with my parents if they needed me, because I had that flexibility. I wasn't weighted down by a lot of possessions and a lot of responsibilities. I could pay attention to the things that mattered to me. My partner from about 22 years ago had a t-shirt that said something like, "He who dies with the most toys wins." And I just roll my eyes when I think of that shirt. He thought it was funny, and I thought it was kind of sad. Because I think in this culture, there's kind of an unspoken expectation that if you have money, you're going to spend it and buy more stuff. And whether it's, cars and boats and decorating your house or clothes or gifts for the children, there's an expectation to buy. We're a consumeristic culture. That's what we are. We're not a faith culture. We're not a joyful culture. We're a consumer culture. That's my take on it. I think that's probably pretty accurate. My notes are at home. So I want to talk about some of the holiest holidays I ever had. The first one was when I moved to California, to Oakland, and I had been corresponding with this friend of a friend, and we started to date, and we hung out a lot together. We spent every weekend together. And now this was going to be my first Christmas away from my family in my entire life. I think I was in my mid-50s at the time. And so I couldn't be with my family. They were 3,000 miles away. So I assumed I was going to be spending it with Harold. Well, Harold and his ex-wife were amicable, and they always got together on the holidays with the family. And I think she may have felt uncomfortable with me being there and probably asked him not to bring me. And I found this out about an hour before he left. So there I am on Christmas Eve, away from all my family, not going with my boyfriend or whatever he was. And fortunately, I didn't get angry. For whatever reason, thank goodness that didn't happen. But I was kind of like, what do I do now? Like, none of the trappings, like he didn't even decorate his apartment. He was a bachelor. There was not a single decoration. There was no exciting food whatsoever, there was nothing. And I could have called some friends, but that felt kind of pathetic to do last minute. So what I ended up doing was looking for every candle I could find, and I lit some candles, and I turned out the lights, and I sat with those candles, and just that alone brought this exquisite sense of peace. Just being in the glow of those candles. Very simple, very holy. There's something about candles. And then I found myself singing Christmas carols. And not the fa la 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 necessarily ones, but all those beautiful songs about angels and wise men and, holy virgins and holy children. And I was by myself, so I could just pour my heart into these songs. And it was the holiest night, I think, of my entire life. Just me and the candles and the songs, because I could focus on the meaning of the holy day. Ding! The second most significant holy day for me was the year my dad went into a nursing home. So my dad was very beloved, not only in our family, but by everyone who knew him. He was just this warm, gregarious, affectionate, positive, grateful, faithful, really beautiful man. And he had Alzheimer's. And so the man he was changing as he got confused, and he still knew us, thank goodness, but various friends he would start to forget, and not everybody was on board with him going into a nursing home, but he was starting to wander at night, and it was getting difficult. And so, long story short, a few days before Thanksgiving, a space opened up, and I think I had a harder time with it than Dad. And I was going there every single day to be with him for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. I hated for him to be there. So Christmas came around, and we realized we didn't know what we were going to do as a family. the parents weren't in the same place anymore. So the family home didn't really quite feel like a family home anymore. My one brother had gotten married and had 3 children and a grandchild, and he was going to spend Christmas Eve with his family. So everything was up in the air, and we hadn't come up with a new ritual. And it used to be Christmas Eve was my favorite, next to Thanksgiving, because I love the candles, I love the feast, I love the candlelight service. So my one sister decided to take Mom to church that night. And I was sitting with, what shall I do? Do I go to a church service? Do I join them? What feels right to me? And then I suddenly realized nobody was going to be seeing Dad. It was the holiday and he was going to be by himself. And suddenly that was like the perfect thing to do. So I went to Dad's and fed him, because at this point he was pureed food because he had choking issues. Not very festive food, pureed food. And thank goodness, there were carolers there that night. And so the staff, and bless every staff person who works on a holiday, bless their hearts, especially in a nursing home, they suggested bringing everybody out into the hallway where the carolers would be. So at this point, Dad wasn't opening his eyes. Even when he was awake, his eyes were always closed. And I guess he was just going internal, but he absolutely knew I was there. So he was in the hallway in his Jerry chair, and I just pulled up a chair and held his hand. And we hardly talked to each other at all, but I would sing some of the songs and we were together. And that's it. We were just together, holding hands, silent communication with one another, songs in the background, and it was perfect. When the staff got him ready for bed, I kissed him goodnight, and I went outside, and it was dark and cold, and there were a couple lights in the parking lot, and I just thought, I can't imagine doing anything that would have felt as good as that. So, we always have choices. And so maybe you do want to go to your family picnic, family dinner, but maybe you want a couple hours alone with nature, because this holiday was originally the solstice celebration. Historians say Jesus was born in April. The church moved his birthday to this time to kind of co-opt, what was considered a pagan holiday. Even though all our ancestors celebrated it, all of them, all our ancestors celebrated the solstice, the winter solstice. I'm going to share one more Christmas. In 1994, my husband and I separated, and it was amicable, and it was still painful. I still felt guilt and sadness and shame, all those feelings. And I realized I felt a little bit sad not to be with him and my stepson for Christmas. And so I didn't know if I was ready to just be with my family, because I kind of wanted to honor that space I was in. And what I ended up deciding to do, Trisha, you will love this, I'm sure, is I decided to go to a soup kitchen in Philadelphia that morning. And it was amazing, the difference of focusing on other people. And it just took me out of all my sadness, all my feelings, just to be there with people who, they had it much worse than losing, a beloved partner. And losing isn't the right word, but there was something very beautiful about being with others and just being a part of that community for a little time. And afterwards, I felt so much lighter. So I just want to share these thoughts as an invitation that we can celebrate the holidays however it feels right to us. And And I feel blessed because in our family, without even making a conscious decision, we suddenly realized we don't need to give gifts to know that we love each other, you know? So we found ourselves just pulling back, and we give to the little kids, and we gave some gifts to the parents, but we just let go of everything else because it's not what's important. Like, our extravagant gifts they don't necessarily show our love, right? So that feels really good to me. We just get together, we just eat, we just love, we watch the kids open presents. It's very sweet. So what's really good is for you, all of us, to maybe take time to reflect. What's the most important thing for me in this day, right now, in this moment, in this holiday? Like, always to ask, what feels right for me in this moment? So what feels right for me in this moment is to acknowledge each one of you. Like, you know, I've only been a deeper part of this community since June, and I feel so blessed to have met and become friends with each one of you here that I didn't know before. I don't know any of you guys here before. And I knew maybe a third of you on Zoom land. And I just feel really honored to be a part of you. And I just want you to know that I love you. And I'm very grateful that we're gathering together here and there, all together. I'm just really grateful. So thank you for listening. Thank you.